I should have known something was off when Allison started volunteering to run errands. At first, I chalked it up to cabin fever, too many rainy weekends stuck inside, too many hours of the same Netflix reruns. Maybe she just needed to get out of the house. She started with grocery runs, short trips for essentials, then electronics. "You know how I am with HDMI cords," she'd say, rolling her eyes and laughing, and I'd smile, not realizing how true that was. Allison always had a charming way of making the mundane feel urgent, even glamorous. So when she offered to swing by the electronics store to check out routers, I didn't think twice. We'd been married 6 years. We met during a blackout at a bookstore, typical meet cute stuff, and for a while, everything just fit. I was a junior software engineer trying to climb the corporate ladder. She was a freelance interior designer who dabbled in photography and could talk circles around me about lighting and focal points. Our lives meshed like puzzle pieces, at least on the surface. But things had shifted lately. Subtle at first. Her phone, once left face up on the kitchen counter, was now always in her pocket. She stopped laughing at my terrible jokes. The light in her eyes, that spark I used to draw strength from, dimmed into something distant. I thought maybe it was just stress, a rough patch. Every marriage has those, right? Then came the day I found the receipt. It was buried under the car seat. A crumpled, half-faded slip from some high-end electronics retailer downtown. The time stamp? Smack in the middle of the afternoon, on a Tuesday when she told me she was visiting her sister. What's more, the receipt listed 2 pairs of wireless headphones, expensive ones, nothing like what Allison would buy for herself. And one of them was labeled consultant discount. I didn't even know what that meant. I confronted her that evening, trying not to sound accusatory. "Hey, did you buy new headphones recently?" She blinked, just for a second. "No." "Why?" That blink told me everything. It wasn't dramatic. No slamming doors or shouted accusations. Just a slow, cold realization that I was no longer sharing my life with someone who felt safe. Someone who could lie so easily, so casually, and move on like it meant nothing. A week later, I took a half day from work and drove to the store listed on the receipt. It was tucked into a fancy plaza, one of those boutique places with neon signs and minimalist displays. I walked in and said I needed help choosing headphones, heart pounding, palms sweaty with dread. That's when I met him. Derek. Tall, chiseled, way too smooth for someone pushing electronics. He greeted me with that overtrained, overly charming smile. "Looking for something for the gym, or just everyday use?" he asked, sizing me up. And in that moment, I knew. I didn't have proof yet, but I knew. There was a flicker of recognition in his eyes when I mentioned my wife's name. A tightening around his mouth, the way his fingers paused over the keyboard. I didn't let on. Just played dumb, nodded along, and left with a pair of headphones I didn't need. That night, I asked Allison, "Do you know someone named Derek?" The way she froze, that told me everything I needed to know. Allison didn't answer right away. Her lips parted like she was about to respond, but no words came. Just that blank, wide-eyed expression people get when the truth is clawing its way out of them and they're too scared to fight it. "Derek?" I repeated, softer this time, like maybe gentleness would make it easier for her to lie. "He works at that electronics place on Halton." Yeah, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "I've met him. He helped me pick out a charger for your birthday." "Why?" That pause. That hesitation. That flicker of panic in her eyes. You can't rehearse that. You can't mask it. You can only hope the person in front of you still loves you enough not to see it for what it is. I nodded slowly, not letting on how hard my heart was pounding. I felt sick. Not in the stomach flu kind of way, but in the heavy, dragging kind of way that makes you want to lay down and disappear into your sheets until the world feels less sharp. Over the next few days, the quiet between us became unbearable. It wasn't the good kind of quiet, the peaceful silence of two people who know each other so well they don't have to speak. This was a loaded, brittle silence. It creaked under the weight of everything unspoken. I couldn't stop myself from digging deeper. One evening while she showered, I picked up her phone. My hand shook as I entered her passcode. Yes, I knew it, and opened her messages. Most were mundane. Her sister. Her clients. But then I found the name, Derek C. The chat wasn't overtly romantic. No, I miss you or last night was amazing. They were smarter than that. But there were clues. Mentions of meeting near the stockroom, comments like you looked great in that dress, and, most telling of all, a timestamped thanks for yesterday. I needed that. I scrolled until I couldn't anymore. My chest felt tight. Betrayal isn't just the act, it's the deception. The planning. The way they smile at you afterward like nothing happened. When Allison came out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, I was sitting at the edge of the bed, holding her phone. "What's this?" I asked, my voice calm, but barely. She stopped. Didn't speak. Didn't grab the phone. Just looked at me. And I saw the guilt flood into her eyes like someone had broken a dam. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. That cliché. God, that cliché. I laughed. Actually laughed. It wasn't funny, but my body didn't know what else to do. "How long?" "Not long," she said. "Just a couple of months." It wasn't serious. "Not serious?" I repeated. "You were sleeping with someone else and I was in this house, thinking we were still a team." Tears filled her eyes, but I didn't want them. I didn't want her sorrow or her regret or her soft apologies. I wanted my life back, the one where I believed her when she kissed me goodnight, where I didn't check receipts like a forensic accountant trying to solve a crime. I slept on the couch that night. Not because I was punishing her, but because I couldn't bear the thought of our shared bed. It felt contaminated. Like the silence between us had become something living, something that breathed and pulsed and smirked at me in the dark. And still, in some twisted way, part of me wanted to fix it. That was the worst part. Not the betrayal, not the lies, but the way my heart still reached for her, even after she ripped it out.